Walk with me.
The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. Corrupt are they, and have done abominable iniquity. There is none that doeth good. God looked down from heaven upon the children of men to see if there were any that did understand, that seek God. Every one of them has gone back. They're altogether become filthy. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. Have the workers of iniquity no knowledge, who eat up my people as they eat bread? They have not called upon God. There were they in great fear, when there was no fear was. For God has scattered the bones of him that encampeth against thee. Thou hast put them to shame, because God has despised them. Oh, that the salvation of Israel will come out of Zion, when God bringeth back the captivity of his people. Jacob shall rejoice, and Israel shall be glad. Yes, 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 we thank God for you, and you. And let us say this one thing. Deliver me from the hands of evil spirits, who have the sway over the thoughts of men's hearts. And let them not lead me astray from thee, O my God. Establish thou me and my seed forever, that we go not astray, and henceforth and forevermore. Jubilees chapter 12, verse 20, a prayer of Abram. Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, those of you on TikTok and YouTube and whatever platform you're listening on. We thank God for you, and you. Yes, yes, yes. We know that we know of the upcoming things that's supposed to occur that would affect us, that have platforms on TikTok. But to the glory be our God. Yes, to the glory. Yes. Now, there's a YouTuber. He was a Rasta brother. Yes, a Rasta brother. Yes, and he was over in the land of Palestine. And he was, what he did, he showed with scripture the description of Jerusalem, even the temple area. Now, if you want to go to it, when you go to YouTube, or if you're already on YouTube, type in the real Jerusalem. That's all you have to do, the real Jerusalem. It'll come up with all kind of stuff, but you'll see a Rasta brother. He has his dreads. They're tied up on top of his head. He's an older brother, around about my age, I would say. And this brother have done his homework. Now, we have different things where men and women say that the true Jerusalem, the true Israel, is in the land of Africa. Now, we know that the Garden of Eden was in Africa. We know that that was where all those things were, but some kind of way this thing they've migrated up toward or down into what they call Arabia or Palestine. That's really, it was ancient Canaan. And he's going to point all these things out to you. And it's very interesting, and it probably would debunk a lot of South African theories and Kenyan theories and, should I say, Somalian theories and Ethiopian theories as to where the real true Israel is. Now, the fact is that he was showing where the other place that calls itself Jerusalem and all that is in the wrong place. It's not where they say it is. And he will also point out some other things, as to where the Arabs have really overran, because that land was belonging to who? Israelis and Arabs. They were black. Arabs were never the color that you, or the ancient Arabs was not the Arabs that you see today. Excuse me. Now, with that, let us continue. Now, we're in verse 2. Oh, yes, I can't forget. Yes, I thank God for those of you that have subscribed from the beginning or even followed. And we thank God for those of you that have subscribed and followed in between there and about. And we thank God for those of you who have just subscribed and followed. Yes, and those of you that are about to subscribe and follow. Yes, we call those things that are not as though they are. And we give God the glory and the praise. Yes, I might be shadow banned, slowed down, even halted sometime, but we thank God that the word is getting out, that it's going to inspire and help someone know and understand the Most High. Yes. And we're in chapter 2 of the book of Jasher. Yes. Chapter 2 of the book of Jasher. It reads, before there was Enoch, Cain had killed Abel, and now now he runs away, and he thinks that he questions God as, am I my brother's keeper? You know, he was trying to find all kind of excuses. We see that today in so many forms and fashions where some, would lie. He lied to God. But God did not punish him right then and there. And then the thing is that Adam and Eve did not die then and there. Where was the death? Death means separation. They were separated from God. God showed his face no more to mankind. No, if he ever showed his face to mankind, it had to be in the garden to Adam. But when God went away, Adam was tempted. That's the same thing in every situation. When God goes away, our protection, when God removes his angels, he removes his anointing, we're about to be tempted. And to know that this is what you want. Do you want me? So I'm going to tempt you. I'm going to allow you to be tempted by these evil people to a certain extent. What is coming, what I know you can bear. This is what God does. Now, we've just read from Psalms chapter 53, yes, verses 1 through 6, if I hadn't said that before. And we're in chapter 2 of the book of Jasher, yes. And it reads, and it was in the 130th year of the life of Adam upon the earth. That's 2 jubilees. And he again knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare a son in his likeness. Hold up. She conceived and bare a son in his likeness and his image, and she called his name Seth. Whose likeness or whose image was not? You saying that Cain was not in his likeness or his image or Abel? There's a dead cat on the line here somewhere as far as the wording. But here we go again. She called his name Seth because God has appointed me another seed in the place of Abel. So he was in the image of Adam. And the same thing, Abel. Okay, for Cain has slain him. And Seth lived 105 years. And he begot a son. Seth called the name of his son Enos, saying, because in that time the sons of men began to multiply and to afflict their souls and hearts by transgressing and rebelling against God. Yes, and these are the sons of Cain that are doing these things. Now, it was in the days of Enos that the sons of men continued to rebel and transgress against God to increase the anger of the I Am against the sons of men. He said, I didn't intend for you to be like this. I didn't look at you as being, I wanted you to be a holy people, a people that would obey, a people that would be this. God is not one that as we are. We love intrigue. We love suspense. We love action. Or we've been programmed to love those things. And the sons of men went and they served other gods. In other words, walking by their sight. And they forgot the I Am who had created them in the earth. And in those days, the sons of men made images of brass. Now, see, the watchers have done this thing. And wood and stone, and they bowed down and served them. And every man made his God as he imagined. Yes, he made his God. Every man made his God as he imagined. The making of gods, the Buddhas, the Jesuses, and all these other things, all these images and the Marys, and these are the imaginations of men's mind that they portray or project unto you that this is whom they say. Now, I can make images of Moses and all this other thing and say this is Moses. And when I never saw Moses, and no one ever can describe how Moses looked. And you begin to worship him. The same thing with this Isis. His name is not Isis, but as you would say. Now, in iron, wood, and stone, and they bowed down and served them. And every man made his god, and they bowed down to them. And the sons of men forsook the I am all the days of Enos and his children. And the anger of the I am was kindled on the account of their works and abominations which they did in the earth. You have to see, the first thing they did was what? Have other gods before the God that created Adam, their father. They had other gods before them, so therefore it's befitting that that be the first commandment. No, this is not what I want of you. I created you for my pleasure, for me. This is what God's saying. This is what God created you for. Every human being has a religious spot. I don't care how you try to shun it, how you try to ignore it. You worship something. You have a ritual towards something. I ain't talking about just makeup women, okay? Now, and the I am calls the waters of the river Gihon. Now, see, he talks about the Gihon, the river Gihon, in that video that I've just announced to you. Now, to overwhelm them, and he destroyed and consumed them, and he destroyed the third part of the earth, notwithstanding this. The sons of men did not turn from their evil ways, and their hands were not yet extended to do evil, in the sight of the I am. You notice how people have suffered in many parts of the world and nation and this continent. They have suffered floods, earthquakes, lava flows, and all mudslides, and still turn to their idols. Their Jesus idols, their Mary idols, their saint idols, their mask idols, their devil idols, their other paganistic idols. Walking by sight and what they think. There's a way that seemeth right unto men, but the end thereof are the ways of death, or separation from God. And in those days there was neither sowing nor reaping in the earth. There was no food for the sons of men, and the famine was very great in those days. And the seed which they sowed in those days in the ground became thorns and thistles and barrels, for from the days of Adam was this declaration concerning the earth of the curse of God, which he cursed the earth on the account of the sin which Adam sinned before the I am. God was angry, very angry at the ways of men. Didn't create man to just enjoy himself and go by his own imagination, but man still had to be tested. And verse 9, and when men continued to rebel and transgress against the I am, and to corrupt their ways, that the earth also became corrupt. And Enos lived 90 years and he begot Canaan. And Canaan grew up, and he was 40 years old, and he became wise and had knowledge and skill in all wisdom. And he reigned over all the sons of men, and he led the sons of men to wisdom and knowledge. For Canaan was very wise, a very wise man, and had understanding in all wisdom. With his wisdom he ruled over spirits and demons. Now, verse 12. Let's go back here. It says Canaan, he was very wise. This man was a spiritual guy. He ruled over spirits and demons. In other words, they did his bidding, just like you would have people that can ask or tell demons and spirits to do things according to their beating to these days. And you say that's South American spirituality or African spirituality or witchcraft or whatever you want to call it. It's devil worship, clairvoyance, soothsayers, witch doctors, all these things. These things are real. There's no fake to them. But those of you that God have hid his face, and those of you that haven't experienced God, you're going to turn back from him, because these things you see, the same thing as idolatry. This is what you are tested with. And Canaan knew by his wisdom that God would destroy the sons of men for having sinned upon the earth. The same as for Barak. He was a man that could rule spirits, and he could call spirits, and he wanted to curse the children of Israel. But God made him bless them. that the I am would in the latter days would bring upon them the waters of the flood. And in those days Canaan wrote upon the tablets of stone that was to take place in time to come, that he would put them in his treasures. And Canaan reigned over the whole earth, and he turned some of the sons of men to the service of God. In other words, you're going to have to serve God if you don't want to be destroyed. And when Canaan was 70 years old, he begot 3 sons and 2 daughters. And these are the names of the children of Canaan. And the names of the first was Mahalalel, the second was Enan, and the third was Midred. And their sister was Adah and Zillah. And these are the 5 children of Canaan that were born him. Now there's a significance here. And Lamech, the son of Methuselah, became related to Canaan by marriage. And he took his 2 daughters for his wives, and Adah, and conceived and bare a son unto Lamech, and she called his name Jabal. And she again conceived and bare a son and called his name Jabal. And Zillah, her sister, was bearing in those days and had no offspring. For in those days the sons of men began to trespass against God and to transgress the commandments which he had commanded to Adam, to be fruitful and multiply in the earth. Now this is another account of it. And some of the sons of men caused their wives to drink a draught that would render them barren, in order that they might retain their figures, and whereby their beautiful appearance might not fade. Now some of those of the captives that were brought in on the transatlantic slave trade, how few there may have been, knew of such a concoction that would make a woman barren, or after she had been molested and violently molested by the colonizers and the slavers and the slave owners and slave field hands, that she wouldn't become pregnant. So this concoction was still prevalent even to this day. It's here. Yes, some women know of it, especially those of elders on the continent of Africa and different continents, even in South America and different places. They know of this concoction. It's been passed on. Now, and some of the men caused their wives to drink a draught. In other words, a mixture, in order that they might retain their figures, and whereby their beautiful appearance may fade. They won't have no shapes. They won't be that 24, 30, 36, 24, 36 brick house. Yes, that's what he said. And verse 21, and when the sons of men caused some of their wives to drink, Zillah drank with them. See, this is Zillah's fault. And the childbearing women appeared abominable in the sight of their husbands as widows, whilst their husbands lived for the barren ones who only they were attached. In other words, the men walk, it shows something about us men. We walk by sight. We want to see that shapely wife. We want to see that shapely woman. We want to see her just in the glory that God made her, of her figure. But we have to realize not only was that, but the animals were disfigured too when they got pregnant. So those things should be accepted among men. But when you begin to have your children, then you start to eat like a horse and begin to not take into account that it's causing you to lose what you once had, then there can be a problem with some males. Now Zillah, he's talking about Zillah. In the end of the days and years, when Zillah became old, I am opened her womb. See, and with that, we're going to say peace.